website says that the Ontario Border Collie Club began as a conversation around a kitchen table in the early 1980s. Were you there?
No, I was not, unless they're counting that thing in King City, which is kind of where they had a slightly inaugural meeting. I went there. I was a casual member at first. And, I was into training the dogs. I'd been to those 2 clinics with Glenn Jones, Bud Fari, right? Yeah, he started. I don't know. Anyway, one time I got this call, and it was from Jim Clark. He said, "Where are you? There's a sheepdog trial on today." It was a Saturday. And I did a lot of things with horses still at the time. I was busy. And I said, oh, I forgot all about that. Is it on tomorrow? I'll come tomorrow. It was a little, people plan to go to trials all the time. I didn't. I was just like, okay, I'll go. Yeah, I'll show up there. One time when I was away during an annual meeting, they made me the president. And then I decided I'd really have to learn to run dogs. And I think I had Hazel around that time and started running with Hazel.
So there were people in Ontario who were working dogs, and some trials going on. Where were the trials held?
Evelyn Neuendorf often had one up near Ottawa. There was a guy who shepherded a farm at King City. I can't remember his name right now, but he had the first trial I went to. In fact, I had never seen a dog do an outrun before then. And if I saw one at that thing at Markham, the sheep focus at Markham, it was on an infield, and there probably weren't very many good outrunners, and I never really got the hang of what it looked like. He had a nice field, and I saw a couple outruns, and I went, wow, that's incredible. Is that where I'm at? I didn't even know where we were headed with it. That's the funny part. There weren't videos around, or, you just didn't see that kind of thing.
So in terms of the club, I guess somebody decided it was important to have a club, sanctioning dog trials or just getting people together. Why was it important to have a club?
Well, all of the above. And I imagine inaugurally people wanted a community in which they held competitions and they could be won. And, and as people got better and better, which they did, people responded by getting better and better, which is what happens when you have good trials. If all you have is trials with mediocre handlers, like all the novices running against the novices, they never see anything but novice handlers. But if you have all the classes, the novices come out and watch the people who really know how to run dogs, and they're sharp students of the sport, they can really pick things up. At the time we started the club, we wanted trials, and sometimes clinics were an ancillary to them. And I remember days when we had trials here, and we'd had them in these fields down at the bottom of this farm. That was before Kingston, because Kingston started here, really. We were holding the trial here, and then I got rabies on my sheep flock, and I couldn't have it here. So we went to the township of Pittsburgh, and they gave us Grass Creek Park as a bicentennial project for a trial. That's how that got going there, because I couldn't do it here because I was quarantined from the rabies. But anyway, the Cropper was here, and he and Katie were here together, and they did a clinic the second day. So we'd have the trial one day, clinic the next day. It was kind of a format that we went with all the time, and people could go and learn how to run dogs. And it really helped. But the main focus was on getting the trials off the ground, and it was always an important ingredient of it, because it gave you an opportunity not to watch just other people doing stuff with their dogs, watching serious runners getting jobs accomplished in very sophisticated ways.
In Ontario, Jim Clark was a real force. He hasn't been running dogs for a long time. I haven't seen him around. Ted Bell was a dog runner. And then Ralph Pulfer started coming up regularly from Ohio. And sometimes Bill Burhow came with him. We had lots of good handlers here. Louis Pulfer came up and judged the first trial that we had here. And Jim Cropper came and judged the next trial. And when these judges came over, they were always big helps to all the runners here, constructive about telling them how to manage their dogs and how to train their dogs, and it got a lot of people going at the time. I've got a lot of dogs, as you see. I've got 8 of them. Dory, unfortunately, this COVID is probably going to cap her career. I felt I could run her on this year effectively, but probably not next. She'll be 12 years old next year. That's Dory. Hal is still running pretty strong. He'd be 9 years old. He's older. Then I've got 2 young ones that I'm training regularly now. That's Dar here, now in whelp, 2 weeks away, and Carl, who I bred her to. I trained these 2. I have a midstream dog, Hazel, who's over there, and I have 2 young ones. Tui is here, but Blossie's taken off, which is standard issue. I'll call her back later. I've got a bunch of them. They're all going good. And Zola here, took an injury a few years ago with a tractor, and she is a cat monitor now, but a household dog. And then I keep a wolfhound, and I've got my mother's terrier as well, and there are plenty of coyotes around here. The Conservation Authority owns the land on the other side of me over there, and CFB Kingston has a big buffer area behind their range on the other side, and it's an incubator for coyotes. And I used to lose a lot of sheep, but recently I think they've called a truce with my guards. I keep a few guard dogs as well that are out with the sheep and lambs, but at home I keep this wolfhound. I had one for 6 years. She died almost on cue at 6 years old, which is normal for them. And then the coyotes started trotting through my yard in front of the house, just emboldened, right? And I think what they do is they talk about this hound. Where's she go? Wavy, come on here, wave, come on. They talk about it and they say, have you seen that big dog? Let's not go. And they really have just stayed away. Hey, Wavy, Wavy, what you doing? Come on here, come on, you silly galoot. They're not real strong in obedience, but you know, they're a real nice, kindly dogs, and they love all the Border Collies. So she's loved them these ones ever since they were pups.
You've bred some pretty talented dogs. You imported a couple of Supreme International champion winners a couple of times over the last few decades. How did that go, and what were these dogs like?
I was so lucky. John Atkinson helped get me onto Stuart Davidson, and he sold me his really extraordinary Craig dog. And I used him for quite a long time. He was the sire of my bitch Ethel. He was the sire of my U.S. national champion Bart. And of course, all the dogs that I've had since then have come from him or through him. Dory's doubled up on Craig. Her sire was sired by Craig, Leslie Gamble's Bob. Bev Lambert's Pippa was sired by him, a Scottish nursery champion, and Beverly running so competitively all across the U.S. with that Pippa. He was a real good dog. I bought him at the age of 9. I kept him until he was 11, and he bred some great ones in the meantime. A few years later, Stuart sold me Star, who won the International in 2002. And I feel like he was a real underutilized dog in Stuart's kennel. He had White Rose Kep at the same time, who had won the Scottish National, and Star didn't win the International until he was 8. So nobody much used him at stud because they were all busy using Kep from the same kennel, who was the Scottish National champion. And he finally sold him to me, and what a wonderful dog he was for me. I bought him at the age of 10, and that is not without its risks. You know, you paid a lot of money for them at the time, which was, I'm not complaining about. I was happy about it. But, you know, they might only have lasted a year or two. Like, you never know when a dog is 10 how long it's going to go on. But the funny part was he lasted until he was 14. He sired his last litter at 14, which was Monty. He was his last pup. And he was just a great dog, sired real well for me. He sired Roz, both from Ethel. Ethel and Star bred very well for me. So she was a daughter of Craig, the 1995 international winner, and a bred to Star, who was the 2002 international winner, and got Monty, Roz. There were some other ones, you know, I can't think who they are right off the bat. But Monty's still going strong. He's a great dog. He's in Nevada and producing some real nice pups. So he sired Howl and that whole gang, you know, the ones from Barbara Ray. He's been a wonderful dog, and the Star and the Craig, great for me.
I think you said in a newsletter article at one point that Howl wasn't so easy at first. How did that come together?
It's funny. He was real easy at first. I started training him in the fall, which is my wont. That's when I'm at home. And when I start them, I like to take them out every day. And he he started running pro novice successfully within a month. So in October, right? And he went through the winter and then just got this incredible confidence and started just like being a heavy hitter on a sheep and rolling along and it was hell to stop him, but he was extremely confident and he eventually settled down and was okay. I like that dog an awful lot to run. He's a great partner with me. He's a tremendous sheep manager. His work at the pen is outstanding. I don't have to say anything to him, but come on. And I know, and he comes and he'll put them in almost anything. I've never seen him get backed up at a pen. And his dirty work, in the barn and the chutes over there. We'll have a handling facility at the barnyard, and when I'm dosing sheep, he will jump over the handling facility right into a packed pen to push them forward on the other side. He's incredible. And then you tell him to get out, jumps out. He's a real good dog for every job of work.
You said he goes back to one of those Supreme International winners?
Two of them.
Two of them,
Yeah,
okay.
2 of them, yeah.
And you still see those Supreme International winners in Howell?
Yes, and I can describe exactly what I see. That Craig had what I think of as the most desirable sort of natural outrun. He went like that, in a perfect cast, getting deeper and deeper with his eyes on the sheep. Not a big, deep, soft one that took him out a little too far on the outside, just a complete pear shape. Very desirable. Howell does that. And Dory does it too. A real direct outrunner, like no goofing around on the way out, right there. I like that.
I know you've received quite a number of awards and mementos over the years. Is there any chance we could see some of them?
Okay, well, I'm not very good about keeping awards and things, but a few of these are good. Dory was a 2-time Soldier Hollow champion. Really great work from her for that. And there's a nursery champion, U.S. nursery champion from 2011. And I've won many of these courtesy Bob Stevens, who's so kind about it, the CBCA championship High Point home-raised sheepdog. That would be mine frequently. They've done real well at that. This would be the Ontario Club. This one I'm very proud of. In the fall, of course, I said I broke my knee and had real difficulty in the national finals. But Howell held up his side and won the Best Gatherer Award with brilliant fetches and outruns on both sides and brought the sheep in fine style. It was really good. And then, of course, I let him down in the ring. I had the broken kneecap and I couldn't get around, and I laid him on the line too hard and he grabbed one to stop it, and I was DQ'd. That was a nice one. That Mia Lane, who's done a lot of naturalist art, did a first day cover that had dogs, Canadian dogs on it for a prize for the sheepdog trials one time. And we have a famous artist from Kingston, Michael Walker, who does all the paintings for the Kingston trials every year. He doesn't normally do dogs, but he does still lifes and flowers and things, but he did them all for Kingston. So this is one of his, and this is how they used to look, because the winning art was the next year's T-shirt art. So he did all these things that could be hand-painted T-shirts, which is the way they were. They weren't screened before. They just did the outline, and then artists went in and hand-painted them. They were really beautiful T-shirts, really, really lovely. We've done 32 trials at Kingston, and Michael has always done the art every year. Here's one that has my dog Clive in front of City Hall with a few collared sheep. Michael had ideas about that. In fact, he did some other ones. That's Clive up there with Murney Tower, which is a great Kingston location. It's a real historical part of Kingston. There's Murney Towers all around town that were part of the defense system for Fort Henry in the War of 1812. This painting up here is of Euchre, an older compadre of Grace's, so running for me quite a long time ago. But she won the Purino Award, which was the last time they had that. They stopped it for a long time. I think they've started it up again just this last year, but she won it that year, so she got a painting of herself, and that's what that is. This trophy down here is the Ontario Club Championship. It's got a broken handle. I've got to try and get that repaired. But it's always good to win at home if you can, because the trials here are so important to me, and their evolution has been entirely important to me as well.
And what's this crazy thing over here?
Oh, it comes from Nevada. This is the prize from the Sheepdog Trials of Nevada. They were at Carson City, run by my friends Mary Miner and Sandra Massey. Sandra Massey, a Kiwi, Mary Miner, a Nevadan. And they have a beautiful trial there at the end of April, and I got to go and win this one time. It was really fun. Oh, little sweetheart. I'll get her hung up at the house. It'll look good.
Okay, I got. That's lovely. And that's a wrap.
I've got some nice sticks, and here are a few of my favorites. Most of them were made by the great Gordon Flintoft. He's a Yorkshire stick maker. And this is a beautiful one, this trout. When I first got it, somebody brought it over to Alberta for me. And so one of the Western guys, and we always give each other a hard time, it's a natural inclination, was going like this. And Dennis Nagel said, "That's enough." I thought that was funny. These ones are beautiful, a lady's work stick. It's a gorgeous one to use. I lend if somebody is missing one. I keep it in my camper. This is a beautiful one of a fox chasing a rabbit down a hole that Gordon made. It's so pretty. There's the fox. And his sticks are famous for being beautifully balanced with gorgeous shafts and great handiwork on the horn. So that's beautiful. The one I use all the time on a daily basis, and it throws me off my game not to use it, is this one with the pheasant head, which I've had reconstructed before, and it suffered an indignity to the face where somebody's dog chewed it. But anyway, it's a great stick to use. It has great heft, and I love it.